This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. Craig, welcome to Tech Talk.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You know, the marketplace seems to get more challenging with every passing day. All we hear is application after application, and now the Internet of Things and all of the high-speed connectivity, on and on and on. You're really where the tire meets the road. I mean, really at the front lines of where the success and failure is occurring. Let's go into some specifics as it relates to underlying business problems that you're helping your customers to solve right now. What are some of the top ones?
Sure. Well, as it seems like this internet thing is really taking hold, and the cloud, as everybody says, whether with air quotes in my hands. And one of the big things that we're trying to solve is we try, as a company at Rigor, is we try and help other companies operate their technology as they shift from internal IT and move their technology and their business generating or the revenue generating applications out into the cloud. And so that's a big shift from where people were when technology came onto the market, or the cloud came up, and within the past 5-10 years. And so this new type of technology that people are using takes new types of tools to get things up and running, and new types of talents to get them operational. So we're trying to be on the forefront of those shifts in the market and help people ultimately do a better job with their technology strategy.
Well, let's kind of do a spectrum of one, where you guys started out from, because as you mentioned, some of the technology almost every day, we jokingly say it's so 20 minutes ago, things are changing so rapidly. But on the other side, not only do you have to adapt to whatever the market is demanding, you got to look ahead and see what is innovative for the marketplace. So let's start with, how did you guys get started, and kind of give us a perspective of when it was and the problems that you were dealing with, and then go into where you are now and where you're headed as far as innovation in the marketplace is concerned.
Sure. And my background is in this space. It's kind of a never-ending space called application performance management, and it essentially makes computers and software, the goal of it is to make computers and software run faster. And so the initial crux of what we did to get started was when we saw things were moving out to the cloud on the web. And my background has been in this space for over a decade, and helping big companies and banks and Fortune 1000s and government entities make their top technology operate faster in their data centers. And when we saw what the cloud physically meant to how applications were made, that's how we went out and got started. And for the layman, the cloud is simply software or hardware or infrastructure that you're running your business on that you don't physically own or physically touch. And in the past, people would go in and they could physically restart their server or log on to the machine and change the code. And when it's in the cloud, that means that somebody else owns that infrastructure, that application, and it requires a whole different approach to manage it and make sure that you're getting the best use of it. And so that's how we ended up starting. And then the first cloud application was the web, and then as more and more things started to move out there, like mobile apps and streaming video and triple play, where you have the voice, video, and phone and the different things coming across the internet, there just needs to be more and more tools that are out there to manage it so that companies are successful when they deploy new things out there. And that's kind of how we got started. And our overall mission is just to make things easier for companies to run, so make them faster, make them more reliable, and those kinds of things. So that's sort of where we are today.
The demand, I'm guessing, I think I heard it once that a lot of the top C-level executives, while they're at work, they deal with a certain level of technology and a certain amount of capabilities. and in some cases they don't even get the same. They actually get better services or more services at home as a consumer than almost what's going on in as far as the changes that are happening at their office. I guess the point I'm making is that you guys have been highly successful. A lot of buzz around Rigor. Secret sauce? I mean, what's going on, and what exactly are you doing that maybe others haven't done that have led to you guys being so successful?
Sure. Well, I think we came in at a really good time because, like I said, things are really starting to heat up back maybe 5 years ago. But we've been in the space for since then, since 2010, and so but we really have a good people. I'm looking at our sign from winning Best Place to Work from the Business Chronicle, and we've got we've got a really good culture and a lot of good talent. But structurally, like in the nuts and bolts of what we do, we've built some pretty unique technology that basically watches applications the way that users would use them. And then we have this big diagnostic engine. I'm kind of getting into the weeds a little bit, but we watch applications, and a perfect example of one is an e-commerce website where we'll test a website all day long from a whole bunch of different places, and if something fails or something goes slow or the shipping calculator doesn't have an issue, then we would notify the owner of that site quickly, and then we'd tell them how to fix whatever it is that's broken. And if anybody who's listening has ever left a website because it took too long to load, or if something didn't work or they couldn't purchase a product, well, then you understand that mentally, at least, the challenge that the business challenge that people are running into. And so by enabling the companies to get in front of that, they could also ultimately make more revenue online, so people will buy more things or click more ads or engage more with their applications. And so it's just an automated way to figure out how to do that better.
That's kind of the point I was making before about the analogy of what they get at home. They don't realize that the consumer has the same problem while they're doing their enterprise. I'm talking about, like you say, dropping off or speed or not being able to get a satisfactory experience simply because some of the technologies or apps weren't working efficiently. And if you don't see it and you don't know it, then you kind of wonder why you're not exactly getting the kind of customer satisfaction, maybe even bottom line performance that you should be getting. And what you're saying is that inherently is you've got to look at it the same way your customers look at it, or you have to have someone like Rigor making sure, and they're looking at it for you to be sure that things are all operating at maximum capability and maximum capacity as it relates to speed, because I think obviously speed matters, and obviously efficiency and consistent efficiency, operations without interruption, I'm assuming is going to matter, especially in e-commerce. I mentioned earlier about 20 minutes ago, and I'm guessing that it's kind of a crazy ride for you guys because you kind of go where the market's going. In some cases, lead the market to where it has to go. Give us some insight in terms of the next few years. How do you see Rigor and what you guys are up to? How does it evolve, say, over the next few years?
Sure, and I mean, kind of getting into how we started or what we did when we first started, the hardest thing to understand on day one was just how are things running? Are things fast or are things slow? And that's kind of the first, the element of discovery of improving is measuring, and that used to be hard when the cloud was first coming onto play because, again, you don't own the infrastructure, so you need a new way to measure. And that's how we started. And then over time, we get a lot of questions from our customers saying, hey, a 3 went to a 7, 3 seconds went to 7 seconds, now what? And then we merged with another company that's local here in Atlanta called Zoom that was on their own journey to not just tell you why something was slow, or not just tell you that something was slow, but give you a remediation of how to make it faster. And so we pulled the technologies together. We now identify what makes something slow, what breaks something, and how to fix it. And so that's kind of the messaging that we're running with that nobody else has in the market. It's just there's a lot of people out there that will wave their hands in the air and say big data and performance, and at the end of the day, they're just showing numbers on the screen, and so we're actually trying to do something about it. And then we're really interested in this new frontier that's coming up called the DevOps. It's a new trend where there's a convergence of people who run websites or applications, and those guys are called, and gals are called operations, and then the people who build those sites and applications, and that's development. And so in the business world, everyone's trying to make everything faster always, including how fast we react to customers, how fast we change our sites, and that's the reason why there's this convergence between operations and development to kind of compress those dev cycles and release things faster. And so with our combination of this measurement and then root cause analysis of how to fix things, we can really tighten that feedback loop so we don't even need people providing feedback to applications. We have our testing system doing it. And so the companies can make changes and improvements even before something goes live to a customer. And that's what we're trying to get to, is ultimately make it faster and easier for people to make their applications faster and easier.
I don't know how you operate without it, Craig. Obviously, with the future, you can't even, as I kind of mentioned earlier, downtime is not an option anymore. It's obviously got to be operating, and now it's in an unforgiving environment that requires speed and performance. So if you don't even know what you don't know. As you're pointing out, you've got a system that identifies it even before most humans would even recognize it, and that's got to matter as far as the bottom line and performance is concerned. Hey, Craig, no small matter why you guys are moving and moving up so quickly in terms of success and the buzz as far as Rigor overall is concerned. As you mentioned, great company to work for, great success and innovation. Hats off. Got to say that with your busy schedule, thank you so much for taking time to join us for a couple of minutes today to explain to our listeners what you guys are all about.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. And if anybody who's listening in wants to check it out and learn more, they could look us up on rigor.com, RIGOR.com.